What happened to Egypt and North Africa? Across the world of Trench Crusade, many faithful nations have fallen to the heretics. During the Corpse Wars, most of Europe was under the Black Grail's influence, with towns and villages being taken and retaken. Most nations hung by a thread and could have fallen at any point. In the aftermath of the 1807 invasion of Era, many cartographers would have labelled the nation as lost. In fact, most did for almost 85 years before its liberation by the brilliance of Queen Brigid and her consort, Donal. The Holy Order of the Dragon slew and impaled 1 million heretics in the hillsides of Wallachia, defending it from invasion after the fall of Byzantium. When the Hellgate first opened and the legions of Hell's Third Circle swarmed the Levant, they fell upon the nations of North Africa. Despite the valiant efforts of North African nations such as Egypt, they would ultimately be conquered. The demon lord Zalambur was the first to send his legions against the ancient warrior elite that ruled the region. The great Fatimids led charges of their legendary Mammluk knights in battle against the demonic invaders. In their desperate attempts to reclaim lost lands in the Levant, their fates were lost to history. While it is clear this counter-offensive failed to recapture the land surrounding Jerusalem, the number of survivors, their names, and what happened to them is ultimately unknown. Rather than welcoming home its victorious heroes, the Sinai Peninsula was crushed under the weight of the slaves of Gehenna. When the legions of the 10 Golden Horns of Mammon set foot on the Levant, they did so on a mission of conquest. Mammon's gaze had fallen on the legendary gold mines of the Queen of Sheba, the Ark of the Covenant, and the riches of Mali and Axum. Unfortunately for the people of Egypt, Mammon's ambition would see the path of the 10 Golden Horns pass directly through their lands. This was little inconvenience to the Prince of Greed, as Egypt held wealth, gold, and great treasures of its own, descending upon the sands of Egypt like the biblical plagues of old sent to punish the Pharaoh. The 10 Golden Horns invaded. With the demons of greed such as Zalambur, the heretic knights of avarice, and the gaze of Mammon bearing down on them, they finally broke. The great cities of Cairo and Alexandria were torn down by the weight of greed and Mammon's ambition. By 1109, when the great iron walls of Iskander manifested to protect the lands of the Sultan of Rum, Egypt had already fallen. The last surviving Mamluks were proud and noble warriors. Many did not heed the Sultan's call to migrate to the wall. Instead, these defiant legends of old scattered into the wilds and the dunes of their old kingdoms. They would fight on for their people, and to defend their homes from these invaders, either they would repel the wretched hellspawn or they would die in the attempt. Even to this day, 800 years of warfare has not seen the last of the Mammluk bloodlines die out. The Mammluk knights play a deadly game of cat and mouse in the ruins of their former kingdom. Each Mammluk knight is an adept user of guerrilla tactics and ambush warfare, launching sudden, lightning-fast raids across the Sinai Peninsula against Mammon's legions. Far from merely skillful warriors, the Mamluks are learned scholars and often poets, many of them sharing tales of their deeds and lamenting the loss of their homelands in poetry and epic tales to keep their history, culture, and the fight to reclaim it alive. The Mamluks make a living selling their services as swords for hire, the long generational struggles honing them into peerless warriors in battle. Each generation of Mamluks passes on the chivalric teachings and secrets of the Furusir to their children. This is the code of martial skill and ethical conduct of the Arabian Nights known as the Mamluk Pharisees. The reality for many of the Mamluks is that their ancient knightly order is now so few in number they are unable to risk waging open war against Mammon's forces. Instead, in their capacity as sellswords, they join with the warbands of the peoples of the book to assist them in holy war. Not only must the leader of the New Antioch or Iron Sultanate warbands they serve be the highest bidder, paying a hefty price for the knight's services, but they must swear to battle the forces of Shaitan. These warrior poets of old respect noble character and martial prowess above all else, and will often share their ways of the sword and teach martial skill to those who have earned their respect. Interestingly, for a warrior so heavily armoured as the Mammluk Faris, they are adept infiltrators able to set up advanced positions ahead of their warbands to disrupt enemy plans and launch lethal ambushes while their allies advance. The secret of how they are able to do this lies in their use of the famed heavy artificial war horses. Only a few of these great artificial steeds still exist, and so they are rarely used in open combat. Instead, the knights use them to gain advanced position without needing to leave behind any of their heavy war gear to do so. When the Automaton cavalry are used in combat, it is usually to defend one of the last few hidden strongholds that the Mamluks have in the vast dunes of their homelands. However, the Iron Wall defense forces have been seen supported by heavy Automaton cavalry on occasion when fighting in the Levant. So this is the fate of Egypt in Trench Crusade, an ancient civilization and powerful nation lost at the beginning of the Great War. Now named as Mammon's domain in the maps of the Levant, the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt, and the kingdoms of the ancient Mamluks are presumed lost. This does not mean that they have given up the fight though, and while a single Mammluk Faris lives, there is hope for Egypt and the reclamation of the domains of Mammon. Hope still lives on in the Mamluks, and one day they may follow in the footsteps of Era and reclaim their ancient homes from demonic hands. How do you think the Mamluks could liberate Egypt from Mammon? Could they send in a paladin, or will the Sultan reclaim the lands with an army of Tarquin creations? Let me know in the comments below. To find out more about the forces of the Iron Sultanate, click the playlist linked to your left. Alternatively, check out the latest videos on the channel with a link to your right. For discounts on your hobby supplies, check out my affiliate links below, and please like, subscribe, share a favourite video with a friend or become a channel member. With that, thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon.